You can't be who you say you are. All the envoys died.
All except one.
Altered Carbon on Netflix is one of the best science fiction television shows to premiere in the last few years. Now, sci-fi is a popular genre, and there really is something for everyone, no matter your taste. But not every story is created equal, and while almost all get something right, I think Altered Carbon is one of the few to get almost everything right. And it does so from the very beginning. The pilot episode of the show could be a masterclass on how to build a world and establish your characters. It's science fiction done right. To start off, this series had the advantage of a very well-received series of books to pull from. And this is one instance where being adapted from a source material is definitely a plus, but only if you do it right. I have another video about what happens when the source material is just thrown out the window. It's linked above if you're curious. But we're going to discuss this topic solely through the lens of the show. It stays pretty true to at least the first book, but you don't need to have read the books to enjoy the show. It's pretty standout on its own. The very first shot of the series is surprising and visceral. It's a bit disorienting, and we know we're obviously missing something. This, coupled with the accompanying voiceover, keeps the audience from getting comfortable.
The first thing you'll learn is that nothing is what it seems. Ignore your assumptions. Don't trust anything.
Everything is a facade, from the tranquil image on the window hiding the gloomy sky outside, to the flesh and blood used to protect and serve the needs of whoever's inhabiting it. This world doesn't just have deception in it, but rather has deception woven through its very fabric, affecting everything in it. It establishes a theme of mistrust and second-guessing that continually gets reinforced throughout the series, keeping all parties from complacency. What do you believe when all of your senses can be fooled at any given moment? This whole first set piece sets the tone and mood of this show. It's dark and gritty, and not the expected future utopia some might be expecting. The civilization is advanced with its numerous skyscrapers, flying cars, and high tech, but then you're immediately introduced to the advanced weaponry of the story, which is even more impressive. This world has upgraded to a higher form of violence, and with the series kicking off its premiere with a firefight and double execution, you automatically know that this future may be cool, but that's not this story. This story will be a back alley brawl, dark, dirty, violent, and most definitely bloody. Everything up to this point has worked in unison to set the audience's expectation of what to expect from the show, and our story hasn't even begun yet.
They have forgotten who and what we are. Make them remember.
The next sequence kicks off the actual story and continues to tell us even more about the world as we start to learn about our main character. We immediately learn that the human race has found a way to extend life through a form of body jumping. Takeshi Kovacs, our main character, stabilizes pretty quickly after resleeving, which lets the audience know he's clearly done this before. And it's even confirmed as we learn he's done this plenty of times before.
Where am I?
Alcatraz Prison, Bay City.
What planet, genius?
We also learn that this story takes place on Earth, which is actually a strange thing to have to learn. Yet Takeshi has to ask what planet he's on. So not only have humans found immortality, but have also become interplanetary. And so far, none of this is told directly to the audience. It's all revealed through the natural course of storytelling as our protagonist himself is introduced to his new world. A few minutes later, upon leaving the facility, Takeshi is greeted by a protest, and once again we're reminded that this isn't a utopia. But it's not a full-blown dystopia either. It's somewhere in the middle, no doubt swinging on the spectrum as time goes on. And we soon learn the truth about the underlying power structure and the first bit of real information concerning our main character. And again, all of this information comes naturally through the conversations.
I'm Miriam Bancroft. We've not been properly introduced. Welcome to Suntouch House.
Upon meeting the Bancrofts, we're introduced to not only the last of our main characters for this story, but also the mystery that this plot will revolve around. Not only that, but it's here that we gain a deeper understanding of the dichotomy of the world in this story. We've had glimpses of the uneven economic and power structure up to a point, but only above the clouds is this divide painfully clear. This pilot is split almost perfectly in two. The first half was all about introducing the audience to the world of Altered Carbon. It set up the environment and the characters. We learn about our main character one detail at a time, while we're really focused on not only the immediate environment surrounding him, but also the factors that shape that environment, both in the past and moving forward in our story. The second half of the pilot was all about showing the audience what kind of story this would be and giving us a reason to stay. This is where we delve deeper into the relationships to be explored, as well as further details of this world our characters inhabit. We get to spend more time out and about in the streets, seeds are planted that will bear fruit later in the season, and we're also introduced to our favorite AI hotel. But most importantly, we're introduced to the core plot and mystery that will drive our characters and push the story forward.
All I ask of you is that you solve a murder.
Whose?
Mine.
And this story really keeps it simple, a murder mystery. But it finds a way to keep it interesting as well because of all of the characters involved.
This is where I died.
Tristan Ortega, our second protagonist, not only learns more about Takeshi through his government file, but also through real conversation. And we can watch her confusion play out like a movie in itself over the disparity between the records and the man standing in front of her, leading to the great drama that will unfold between them in parallel to the main story. And then for good measure, there's one more epic fight just to set up another mystery and keep the character and the audience on our toes. I said earlier that this pilot was all about avoiding complacency, and the second our character finally feels the smallest bit of comfort, it gets swiftly taken away. And by the end of this pilot, the audience learns everything we need to know about our main character, Takeshi Kovacs. Yes, he is very well trained and stunningly violent, but he also wants nothing more than just to be left alone at peace, opting to return to isolated hibernation rather than face a world he doesn't understand. He didn't ask for any part of this story, and he has no intention of being a part of it. But even as physically powerful, smart, and experienced he may be, he knows from the very beginning that he's not the one in control. Far from it. He's deeply scarred and traumatized by people and events of his past, but just can't bring himself to end it all, no matter how much he says or maybe even believes that he wants to. On top of everything though, Takeshi Kovacs is a survivor, continually propelled forward by a force that even he himself doesn't fully understand.
It's the unanswered question. The mystery that needs to be solved. The box that needs to be unlocked.
A cool side note about something that I only realized on my second or third time rewatching the pilot was that the voiceover wasn't actually addressing the audience. Though it sounds like it's speaking to us, it's really just Takeshi replaying old memories and lessons to himself. The audience is just given the privilege to access this part of his psyche. I've said it before in previous videos and I'll say it again. Voiceovers are notoriously difficult to get right and should be avoided as much as possible. But occasionally, they're done correctly.
They have forgotten who and what we are. Make them remember.
This pilot definitely got it right, and even ties it in perfectly throughout the rest of the series. It also plays a part in building Takeshi Kovacs out into the deeply complicated character that he is, and we get the pleasure of exploring this more in key points throughout the series.
What are you doing here, big brother?
I should be asking you that.
That's easy. I'm not real. It's your excuse.
This show really hit the ground running while also easing the audience into the world. It never had to pause to explain key elements to us, but rather let us learn alongside our protagonist. And by the end of the pilot, we're up to speed on everything necessary. We don't know everything, but like our protagonist, we know enough and are left with so much more to learn as more gets revealed throughout the show. The stage has been set, all of our main characters have been introduced, the mystery has been revealed, and the story set into motion. We know the arena and the rules of the game. Auxiliary storylines have also been set up to help draw the audience in. It's full speed from here on out. This was one of my favorite pilot episodes in a long time. It captured my attention immediately and kept me engaged the whole time. It built up the characters and their backstories as much as it possibly could in the time frame that it had. And most importantly, it set up a truly interesting and multifaceted story that promises to entertain and thrill the audience. And it's all packaged in the bright lights and shiny objects of a future that holds the potential for limitless possibilities, just like this show itself. What are your thoughts about Altered Carbon on Netflix? If you've got something you'd like to say, add, or any kind of response, the comment section is always open for discussion. Please be sure to give this video a like if you don't mind, and go ahead and subscribe if you want to see more video analysis and perspectives like this one. Have a great day, and don't forget to watch a great show. Bye.
I know people like you.
There aren't any people like me.